Hello students, welcome back to the online video classes. In the previous class, we have started our new chapter, that is chapter 19, Biodiversity and its conservation. Biodiversity is defined by an assessment, that is bio means living and diversity is variation. So, variation in living forms in the entire flora and fauna is biodiversity. Then we studied the levels of biodiversity. First of all, the diversity at the species level. Species is a group of members which are free for the reproduction and can produce the offspring similar to itself. Then we studied the second level, that is genetic diversity, that is variation in the genes of organisms. Every individual is unique in terms of its gene inheritance. The third one is ecosystem diversity, in which there are both living and non-living factors are included. Then we studied the global diversity, that is the diversity of all over the world, and then the biodiversity of India. India is among the 17 mega biodiversity countries due to its location on earth. As you know that near the equator there are tropical forests, and in that tropical region the environment is suitable for maximum biodiversity, but near the poles the biodiversity continuously decreases, and at the extreme poles, north and south pole of earth, the biodiversity is minimum and very rare. Then we discuss the biodiversity hotspots, the spots where biodiversity is maximum. Here we discussed a term, that is endemic species. Today we will start the endemic species. So first of all, what endemic species is? It is the species which is present at a particular area. So the distribution and extension of that species is limited to a particular area, to a particular environment and between the particular neighbors. So the examples of endemic species are first of all lemurs. The lemurs which are particularly present in the Madagascar islands. So these lemurs are not present anywhere else, they are present specifically in Madagascar islands. The second one is an example of a plant that is included in the flora part, the Metasequoia plant, which is present in the valley of China. The third one and the fourth one, both are present in the Western Ghats. So the Nilgiri tahar and the lion-tailed macaque monkey, both are present in the Western Ghats. Then an extinct organism, that is dodo. Dodo is present in the Mauritius. So these were the examples of endemic species which are particularly present in a specific environment, in a specific habitat. So due to its specific requirements, they are very limited in numbers, and also they are at a risk of extinction. They are likely to get extinct or threatened because they need a specific environment. If that specific environment or a particular area having that particular favorable environment is destroyed by any natural calamities or by any human generated disturbance, then they are likely to get extinct completely. So their need of their protection is at high. So for example, the dodo bird is extinct now due to the human activities. The overexploitation and hunting leads to its extinction in just 23 years. It was invented in the year 1658 and was destroyed in the year 1681. So it was present only for just 23 years, and at that duration it is overexploited by the humans and becomes extinct. So several endemic species are given of our nation which are present mainly in the Western Ghats and in the northeastern Himalayas and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So in India, 17,612 species of the wild animals, 44 species of the mammals, 57 species of the birds, 187 species of the reptiles and 110 species of amphibians are endemic. In addition, 5,150 endemic species of plants are also found in India. So these were the numbers of several categories which are endemic, particularly in India. So now after endemic species and their importance, now we will discuss the importance of biodiversity. So this importance of biodiversity is further classified into three main parts. First of all, we will discuss the economic importance, then the medicinal value, and the third one is the environmental value. So first of all, their economic value. So you can get many of things from the forest, and forests are also included in the biodiversity, like you will get the medicines, forest, wood, fuels and vegetables and fruits, industrial raw materials, wood for furniture. So these kinds of things we obtain from forest, which are included in the biodiversity. Like that, the meat of animals and their fur are also used, so animals are also used for the economic benefits. So there was one major problem of disease present in the plants. If a plant is diseased, then its crop will be destroyed entirely, so that it will have an economical losses. So some varieties which are developed, which are disease resistant, which are resistant from the environmental conditions, like from the drought and floods, they are resistant. So the variety which was developed in Japan, that is Norin 10, is the semi-dwarf variety of the wheat. So it leads to the development of disease resistant plants, which leads to the higher production and economic benefits. Like that, a semi-dwarf variety of rice, the name of variety is DGO Wujen. From it, a dwarf variety of wheat, rice, is developed. Rice is also known as paddy from Taiwan. So it leads to the production of the disease resistant, insect or pest resistant crop, which leads to the economical benefits. In Asia, in the decade of year 1970, paddy crop was destroyed. Approximately 1,60,000 hectare area was destroyed by a virus, that is grassy stunt virus. This disease leads to a very high economical loss, and due to that there was a need to develop a variety which is resistant to that grassy stunt virus. So a variety which is known as Oryza nivara. The name of variety of the wheat was Oryza nivara. This is a wild variety which is present in the eastern UP, that is in the eastern Uttar Pradesh. This variety is present, that is Oryza nivara. So by using this wild species of the paddy, we developed the several genes and varieties of rice which are resistant to the grassy stunt virus. So if you can't develop such varieties, then there are a great loss in the crop. So today 20 genes of wild paddy are being used in the paddy improvement programs. So approximately 20 genes are developed for the disease resistant character. After these kinds of discoveries, after these kinds of production of the genes which are resistant to the insect pest, to the fungicides and to the hazardous chemicals, they just proves as a boon for the humans. So after that, there is one more category of the economic benefits, which is biodiesel trees. The term that is biodiesel trees. In the biodiesel trees, we can obtain the organic fuel from these plants. The examples of these biodiesel trees are Jatropha and the Karanja. These plants are used for obtaining the fuel. As you know, the fuels like petroleum and are used uncontrollably, they are exploited. So due to their excessive use and the limitation and the limits in which they are present in the environment leads to their deficiency. So to meet their deficiency, the trees which are used as a substitute are the biodiesel trees, and their examples are Jatropha and the Karanja. So the next importance of biodiversity is the medicinal value, in which many medicines are derived from the plants, which cures the diseases which are incurable in other terms. So approximately 40% of the medicines available today are obtained from the plants. So several diseases are given in which the plants from which the medicines are obtained are also given. So the incurable malaria fever, at a time the medicine was developed from the cinchona plant. The second one is the blood cancer. The blood cancer is known as leukemia, which is also incurable. The drugs which are obtained from the plants are vincristine and vinblastine. These plants are used for obtaining the drugs for blood cancer. The third one is the Taxus baccata, from which a substance, that is Taxol, is obtained for curing the cancers. For hypertension, There is the chemicals reserpine, which is obtained from the Raufolpia serpentiana for the treatment of hypertension, and for the disease which was epidemic at a time, that is AIDS, from which for which the plants which are useful are tulsi, brahmi, ashwagandha, shatavari, gilgo and giloy. So these are the plants which are used even in the treatment of the serious diseases like AIDS, and you can say that they are useful for curing any kind of viral infection. So these were the importance of biodiversity and specifically of plants, various types of plants for curing the diseases which can prove to be fatal or very harmful for the human beings. Now the next discussion is about the environmental value. We have discussed the economical value and the medicinal value. Now the third one is environmental value, in which the first point is about the protection of food chain. In nature, every organism is dependent on the other species for their food. If any one of the species becomes extinct due to any reason, due to the environmental or human activities, if they become extinct, then the entire food chain may get disturbed. So, for protecting the other species, there are many food chains present in the nature. So, many food chains combines and form a complex food web, in which if one species becomes extinct, then at least other survival options are available so that other species can survive. But if there is a simple food chain in an environment and then a species becomes extinct, then the entire food chain will get disturbed and there will be a great destruction of the living organisms. So every species have its role in protection of food chain, in protection of other organisms, as they are available as the food for that any kind of particular organism. The second point is about the regulation of nutrient cycle. The nutrients are cycled, they are first of all transferred to the plants, and from plants they are transferred to the other organisms, and when that organism dies, then that dead body part contains that nutrients, which are decomposed by the bacteria, viruses, by secreting various enzymes, and then they are converted again in the simpler forms which plants can use. So these kinds of cycles are regulated by the various organisms present in the environment. Third one is the disposal of environmental pollutants. So there are many organisms which decomposes the pollutants into the simpler forms and nullifying their hazardous effects. So the disposal of environmental pollutants, in which a bug, that is Pseudomonas putida, plays a very important role. It decomposes the oil present in the oceans and destroys the oil spills, which are very destructive. So like the Pseudomonas putida, other organisms like Anthobacter viscosus and the Citrobacter species, these are also involved for the disposing the environmental pollution and making our environment and then the second plant, that is the Catharanthus roseus, they have the ability to disintegrate the harmful chemicals like the trinitrotoluene. Like that, the Rhizopus oryzae also has ability to remove the uranium and thorium from the environment. Except these microorganisms, that is mainly bacteria, some fungi are also involved in the environment cleaning, that is the Penicillium chrysogenium. They have the ability to remove the harmful elements like radium from the environment. So these kinds of microorganisms and plants are involved in environment cleaning, and they are decomposing the harmful chemicals which are hazardous for the human health. The fourth point about the environmental value is social, cultural and spiritual significance. Our culture, specifically of India, our many religious ceremonies are related to the plants. Plants like people, mango, tulsi, amla and banana are worshipped in the specific festivals. So they have the spiritual values related to our cultures, and they also have the social values, as they are helpful in expressing our feelings. And in the various cultures, in various ceremonies, the plants and several animals are having the great value. The animals like cow, peacock, rat, goose and elephants have a very important role in our cultures. So people voluntarily protect them, and the ones in which these kinds of animals and plants are protected are known as the Dev ones, and people voluntarily conserve them. So, by taking into account the importance of biodiversity, the United States declared the year 2010 as the International Biodiversity Year, and meanwhile they also declared the 22 May as an International Biodiversity Day for having a effort to conserve this rich legacy of India, that is biodiversity. So the biodiversity is a gift of nature and you have to protect it to protect ourselves. So today we discuss the endemic species, the examples of endemic species like lemur and Nilgiri tahar, the threat of their extinction and the need of their conservation. Then we discuss the importance of biodiversity at three levels. Economic value, in which we studied the Norin 10 and DGO Bhujan varieties, which leads to the production of that crops which are disease or pest resistant. Then we studied the medicinal value, in which we see that many harmful fatal diseases are cured by the chemicals secreted by the plants. Then we studied the environmental value, which are divided in the four subparts. First of all, the protection of food chain. Second one was regulation of nutrient cycle. Third one is the disposal of environmental pollutants. And the fourth one is the social, cultural and spiritual significance. So in the next class we will discuss the threats to the biodiversity and how we can contribute in the conservation of biodiversity. Thank you.